The Chinese car market has had another downturn with 5.3% down last month. The Chinese car market is really hurting with 13 months in a row. In addition, the Chinese car market is now starting to sell used vehicles, and this is really putting pressure on the Chinese industry. On top of that, they have removed all of their incentives for the electric cars, and this is also hurting the electric car industry. Remember, China wants to convert all of their vehicles to electricity. This is not looking so possible. They are building nuclear power plants as quick as possible, but sometimes China makes some pretty aggressive statements and then has to pull back on them. Check out this segment to learn more.
And while the U.S.-China trade war has slammed many sectors on both sides of the Pacific, from agriculture to fashion, the auto sector has not avoided the pain, and the effects may be increasingly apparent in China. Rolling in to catch us up on this and all things automotive is the car coach, Lauren Fix. Welcome back, Lauren. Turning to arguably the big story this week, the latest statistics showing an economic slowdown in China, and the auto sector was not spared the pain. The China Passenger Car Association says car sales fell 5.3% in the month of July 2019 compared to July of 2018. That works out to 1.5 million automobiles sold in the last month, and that means that there's 13 drops out of the past 14 monthly reports. How bad is it for the auto sector in China, and what's the prognosis?
Well, they have a 53-day supply of vehicles, which is quite a bit. And they've offered a lot of incentives, which they did in July and in June, hoping that it would boost sales. It did a little bit in June, but it's really been hurt in July with EV sales losing their government subsidy. So you're watching the drop in electric vehicles, which is what they were hoping for. They were hoping to convert all the vehicles that were combustion engine to electric vehicles, and the turn is not happening as quickly as they want because it's expensive to purchase a vehicle. And of course, they're in a recession right now, and it's been going on for quite a while, so consumers aren't going to spend the money. And remember, until recently, they didn't have a used car market. They only sold new cars, and they would pass them down to the people in their family. But now they've opened up a used car market, which is definitely going to hurt the new car market. So that's not helping things at all. Also note that Germans, being leading by Mercedes, BMW, and Audi, they had an increase in sales for the month of July, which is because they're putting out quality product that people want.
Now, Chinese automakers are now investing in Europe-based design and engineering shops in order to overcome the perceived and actual shortcomings on crash safety. Automotive News Europe mentions the examples of engineering campuses Great Wall Motors in Germany. So give us a little peek into these important facilities, which we may not have heard of, and the roles that they could play in helping the Chinese automakers start new inroads into the European market.
Well, China has a rule that if you want to sell in their country and you want to build vehicles in their country, they need to own a piece of that business that you create between the two of them. And creating joint design factories will help because every market has a different need. Here in the U.S., we're more SUV-based. In other countries, it's more car-based, based on the size of the roads and the parking. In China, parking is a huge issue, so smaller cars tend to be more popular. Unless you're doing very well, then you want to own a vehicle like a Lincoln or a Cadillac. That's what people want. They want to showcase their success. So when you're looking at that, you have to find out what consumers want. It's completely different in their country than we have in our country. And if you go online and you look at the different vehicles that are offered, you'll see there's a definite difference. And having that design studio available, I think, is a great benefit for both sides. So they're producing cars consumers want.
And Lauren, turning to the other big shocking slowdown news that moved markets this week, Germany, the car sector seemed noticeably weak there. What's going on in the car and truck sector for Europe's biggest economy?
Well, Europe's biggest economy are having some financial issues, as you probably expressed in other segments, with a downturn in their economy. They're having a lot of trouble. They've already lowered interest rates to the point where people are paying for the banks to take money. So when that type of financial situation happens, it impacts everything, and that includes the auto industry. Remember that countries like Germany, the auto industry is a big part of their economy, and when the economy is hurting, the auto industry hurts, and consumers aren't buying cars, and they're all holding on to their money. So this is becoming a problem, and until things turn around, and the way they're doing it is probably not the right way, this is going to impact everyone.
Now, Lauren, we touched on this last time you were here. That seems to be an issue of growing importance, and that is the security on increasingly computerized cars. So specifically, keyless entry systems are now being flagged as a weak link. So walk us through the mechanics of this vulnerability and how serious is it, and what can car owners do in order to reduce the risk of theft or worse?
Well, it's very interesting. There was just a recent article that's become very popular here in the U.S., and I'm sure it's made its way internationally, that you can break into these keyless entry cars. Where it used to be you had a key, you could maybe, fish down a coat hanger and unlock the door, and you could, hot wire the car and go. Those days are gone. Now you're looking at keyless entries, and what they're doing is they're buying items on Amazon or Alibaba, and they can create a signal to cause the door to unlock, and they can be in a vehicle and gone in under 2.5 minutes. That's really fast if you park your vehicle and you think you've got it locked to hit the key fob. So it's up to manufacturers to put a roadblock in this. This is part of what I've been saying about 5G and autonomous cars. If they're hackable this simply by getting through a keyless system, which has been around for a while, and there's no firewall there, what's going to happen when these cars are autonomous? And this is a huge problem, and it's up to manufacturers to put a roadblock on that. As far as the consumer is concerned, just be careful where you park your car and know that anybody can break into it.
Fascinating. I know Tesla and Elon Musk, they previously had this reward bounty in order to encourage hackers to try to break into their cars in order to fix these problems. Lauren Fix, the car coach, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. There's a lot more information on the auto industry on a global basis. You can check that information out here, or of course, our social media and comments are down below. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.